Good morning. This is Anand Bhaskar from Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. Actually, BKBB, because this is where we bring you morning news, where it's not exactly news, but it's news behind the news. Otherwise, every week on the same channel, you can find a policy analysis, an occasional business story, and an occasional conversation. But this is morning news, the news behind the news. And it's a brand new week. It's a Monday morning. And this is the day when deliberations begin in Washington at the IMF for the spring talks. But before we go there are some requests I have to make. Please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button. But most important of all, please tell all your friends about us. We try to do things that many media houses don't do, and we think we have something to offer for the benefit of our viewers, for national benefit as well. And today I have my anchors, Katya. Welcome, Katya.
Right.
It's good to have you here. And then we have Anurag. Anurag, nice to see you here. Okay. Among all of us, we'll cover 3 titles today. And the titles are the first, as I've told you, it's about the IMF meeting, which begins today for the whole week. And the second is whether China can break and dominate even the fashion industry in garments, textiles. And the third one is one industry that's smiling its way to the bank. Is the textile industry, the garment industry, the knitwear industry in Tirupur. And all the 3 will reveal to you some aspects that might be interesting for you. Let's take the first story first. Today begins the IMF meeting. It's going to go on for 5 days. And even while the meeting takes place in Washington, it is very interesting that J.D. Vance and his 4 senior member team are in Delhi today to see how they can sell more to India. Already, in the last meeting that Modi had with Mr. Trump, he's already agreed to bringing up two-way trade to $500 billion. He's also, according to several informed sources, agreed to buy F-35s that have failed in the war theaters in Europe and the Middle East. Effectively, India will be pauperized. Effectively, maybe Trump will succeed in making India his 51st state, if not Canada. The risks of colonization are very, very high. The ability of India to fight back has been missing for the last 1.5 months. It did not protest when the refugees were brought back. There were handcuffs on them. It did not protest when Trump decided to put tariffs against India. It did not even look for alternative markets. India is too scared of the US. And we suspect it's because it is very compromised, and it may not have the ability or the willingness to fight. Watch what's happening. The World Bank forecast, already all the experts are saying that growth rates will fall from a global 3% to 1.5%. Goldman Sachs expects the growth rate to fall even further to 1.4%, which means the global trade will just shrink. And then if you think it's only trade in goods and services, just look at what's happening to Hollywood. Every movie of them is likely to fetch in less revenues thanks to Trump's markets, which cause the entire consumer purchasing power to shrivel up. People have stopped spending because they expect prices to go up, even on necessities. Car prices will go up, even toaster prices will go up. Everything that is on the shop shelves in America will go up. America has no appetite for consuming anything today, including movies. Trump has unleashed a storm which the IMF will be possibly discussing for the next 5 days. Never mind that, JD Vance and his team are in India. Anyway, that finishes my story. Let's go to the second story, which is Katya's story.
Good morning, sir. As such, there's an interesting side to this tariff war as well. One of them is China's TikToks are trying to do something really, really interesting. They want to break the luxury industry, and this not just affects American goods. Mostly, it affects Italian and French and a lot of other luxury brands, Louis Vuitton, Birkin, Hermes, and all those. But what are they trying to tell is that they use the same material, uh, and exactly same product is manufactured at 1/10 or even less than the cost. So then why should you pay a premium? Effectively, they are paying premium only for the name. So they are saying, they want to start a factory to feed a channel. They want to open it to people who want to order directly. Now whether it will be successful or not is the question, because luxury market is paid only because of the perception and the feeling that you get when you have a luxury product. There's a recent example for this too. Is how Birkin was broken. Birkin, was the most expensive and the most, hankered after fashion accessory for a lot of people. But who broke it? Walmart broke it. They actually mass manufactured something called the Workins. So they look like the Birkin, but they're manufactured in very locally, and then they are marketed out. They just look just like them, and that did break the Birkin, because when you see everybody carrying the same thing, suddenly it becomes unfashionable to carry something, that a product that is so exclusive. Another thing that fashion industry does is manufactures only few of these, so that it can put a crazy premium on top of them. Now should you pay for that is also another question that they have to raise. And this is the era of Gen Z's. Now Gen Z's they love premium products, but they are extremely value conscious. Will they pay just for the name, or a product which is just exactly what they want, but from a different manufacturer? Now that is something which is open. What do you think, sir, about the fashion industry? You think it's going to change?
You are right, Katya. It's very easy to break the fashion industry if you're persistent enough through an advertising channel.
Right.
And TikTok is a great advertising channel because it caters to Gen Z. The costs are lower than
Mm.
mainstream media. It's a good strategy, and thank you for bringing it up because it will change the way fashions work in the world. I've watched how Chinese shoes, the headquartered in Bangalore, they sell beautifully for kids. They bring more varieties, a notch below the premium brand's pricing. And they're working very well. They'll do the same thing with every other product. Well, America's got to learn that whether you like it or not, when you make a good mousetrap, people will line up at your door. Anyway, thanks, Katya. Let's go to the third story, which again is a very interesting story about how some companies are smiling. Anurag, welcome.
Good morning. The textile community that is believed to have clothed the ancient Rome 2500 years ago now gets a breakthrough. When the Trump administration announced its fresh tariffs earlier this month, many feared, but Tirupur, India's largest textile cluster, rekindled its export momentum. Tirupur holds 90% of India's cotton knitwear exports and 55% of overall knitwear exports, has recorded its highest export revenue of 40,000 crore in 2024 and 2025. There's a sharp rise in buying orders, and most manufacturers are getting up to meet the new wave of demands. The reason behind the growing demand is that the US textile orders are now shifting their focus from primary exporters like China, Vietnam, Bangladesh. These countries face a steeper tariff as compared to India. It is believed that 10 to 15% of orders from China alone has already been redirected to India, to Tirupur, and many US clients seek deliveries within the 90 days. Within 90 days, it is believed that US accounts for about 35% of India's knitwear exports, followed by European Union with 29% that totaled about 56,000 crores in the year 23-24. Previously, one of the direct competitors of export textile to the US was Bangladesh's textile hub Chattogram, which is now facing its widespread closures, with 350 out of 611 registered units are still operating, and over 54 units being shut down in the last 6 months. 97% of garments sold in the US are imported, which is going to benefit Tirupur, with it being the only textile hub thriving amid the tariff cluster. And it's expected to increase its export to US by 20% this year. What's your take on this, sir?
Thank you, Anurag. A great story, and yes, one of the silver linings for India. Tirupur happens to be one of the most organized textile exporting hubs. And because of that, just around Tirupur, other companies, other brands have also started manufacturing in India. I remember recently, Brandix bought 600 acres of land to make a high fashion innerwear for women, which it wants to sell from India to the rest of the world. And India could become a very big hub, because till now Bangladesh had an advantage. Bangladesh had a special quota which allowed it to export duty free. Now that special quota seems to be evaporating, and India could benefit. And many Indians who invested in Bangladesh may bring back their investments to India. Similarly, many people who have invested in Sri Lanka may bring in their brand, may bring in the factories into India. This could be a silver lining, provided the government does not biff it up with wrong policies. Great story. Thank you, Anurag. This is excellent. And that brings me to the end. We have normally, I should have told you this earlier, but we normally take the feedback that we get from people and questions, and we try to respond to them. And the first question is on Katya's story on, do you think India could become a hub for fashion wear? Well, maybe yes. Brandex, as I told you, is a Sri Lankan company focusing on high brands, has come to India to sell within India and also export. I expect many other companies will come to India. But to build a brand takes time. Whether there be Indian brands will depend upon the stability of the Indian policy. If you keep on changing policies all the time, that includes taxation policies and manufacturing policies, it's difficult building a business in India. Will the government do it? Yes, maybe it will. But so far, the textile industry, which is the highest value added, has not benefited because of the flip-flop policies of the government. And the second question is about Tirupur. Will Tirupur become even a major, much bigger manufacturing hub than it is right now? Yes, it could. It is one of the most organized manufacturing hubs. It has a marvelous sewage treatment facility, and it is a pride of almost every of any textile organization. India can do wonders, and yes, it will be good if India can achieve some kind of stable policy to make units like Tirupur grow. There is one more question that's come in. Why did US put high tariffs on handicrafts? On Bangladesh than Indian on garments? The US had a funny policy. It looked at trade balance and worked out a formula which made net exporters have to pay a higher tariff than. There was no uniformity, there was no vision, there was no plan of what the US wanted to achieve. Small countries, poor countries have the highest tariffs. Of course, Trump has realized this and has asked for a 90-day window. Let's see. Let's see what happens. But yes, thank you very much for being here today with us. And do click the subscribe button. Do click the like button. And most important of all, tell your friends about us. And this is the beginning of the week. Do join us again tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you here, and look forward to discussing more news items than you have done today. Watch this space. Be with us. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead.